I've had requests to show how I make a YouTube video. Well, here you go. This one video could possibly be called an entire course. It will be long, probably the longest video I've ever made. To cover and show all these steps I use to create a YouTube video from concept to posting, well, I'm not going to apologize for the length of something I think is super valuable to video creators. If you're a viewer and don't create videos, I thank you for supporting us creators, but this will give you a better appreciation of how much time and effort people who make YouTube videos put into making them. As always, I've included chapter markers in the video description. These should show up on the video's play bar, and yes, I'm going to show you how to do that too. Now, this is not a better process. It's my process, and it works for me. Although the editing portions are in Premiere Pro, I made sure everything shown here is applicable to almost any video editor you happen to use. Let's go make a YouTube video. First, I make sure I've had a good breakfast, water, some vitamins, get some coffee, delicious, feed the cat, maybe throw him a blueberry, which he loves to chase. Moving around a lot and burning up a lot of vitamins, so I want to have my mind free from the various disturbances a body can create when it is starved for food or water. It will affect your video and your on-camera look. I go to my favorite out-of-the-studio place, my kitchen countertop, and I can grab snacks and more coffee, of course. It's a nice place and I can look outside and not get super concentrated on designing this next video that I'm going to make. Since my last video was a review, I'm not going to make another one of those, and I need to decide which one to do next. You may have noticed I've recently moved to a review video, followed by a tips and tricks type video, followed by a tutorial video. I decide it's time for a tutorial type video. I start throwing around what type of video would be best for my audience, and I remember people asking to see how I make YouTube videos for YouTube and what the process is. I have my idea, and I decide to make a complete video, the one you're watching right now, on how I make a YouTube video from A to Z. Now I need to decide if I'll be doing it off the cuff, from notes, or scripting it. Like all my videos, I like to rotate between all three so I don't become dependent on any one skill, and I keep them all practiced so no matter what, I can make a video under any condition because, well, I know how. Time to open the computer and get to work. I've decided to script it as it's going to be very long, and I can also show some teleprompting tips in the video. Since this is very tightly scripted, I'll also add notations for what type of B-roll I want to shoot and any other editing ideas I have while I'm writing. I'm done with the script, so I'll read it out loud a couple of times, edit and shorten it down, and make it so it sounds more like me. I also do any spell correction, not because I care, but when using a teleprompter, these words catch my attention and I stumble on them while shooting. Another benefit of having a script is you can easily upload the text into the YouTube captions. More on that later. I'm satisfied with what I've got, so I send it via email to myself, copy the text, and paste it into my teleprompting app, which is on my phone. I usually go outside and read the script aloud a few times and adjust the timing or word breaks as necessary in the app until I'm comfortable with it. I use this app on the phone as it's easy and cheap, and as you'll see, it fits closely to the lens on my camera so the viewer doesn't see my eyeballs moving back and forth. Once I have the script speed and what I'm going to say done, it's time to rock and roll. It might surprise you, but the first thing you do is brush your teeth, comb your hair, and make sure you look okay. It's a real disappointment when you go to edit and you find you had something in your teeth or messy hair and your shirt is misbuttoned. Just go take a look in the mirror before you start. Now I go to the studio, and since I have everything set up to make my shooting easy peasy, I do the following. Turn on the key, fill, and backlight using this remote. Turn on the background swash light on the back wall using this remote. Turn on the monitor and the Mix Pre 3 auto recorder and the camera. I immediately format the cards as this ensures they are in good working order. I've been burned before by this, so I'm careful to do it. I go to my floor mark and make sure the focus is correct. You may have autofocus, but if you don't, you can use this tip. Just put a stand or whatever you had exactly where your eyeballs would be, go back to the camera, adjust the focus, and you're done. Now I mount the phone running the teleprompter app as close to the camera lens as I can so it appears I am looking into the lens and not off camera. Now I grab the headphones to make sure I can hear myself, More importantly, there's no weird background sounds like AC running or something I forgot to turn off for the shoot. Here's where you might put up white balance cards to set the white balance in your camera, adjust your audio and all that. Since I have everything on this camera and recorder in the studio previously set up and I never change it, I don't need to do that. I've been burned once by this, so I always look up to see that the microphone is above me and pointing down toward my mouth and that the boomed mic is just outside the framing of the shot. I positioned a text for the intro in the Teleprompter app as I don't need it scrolling yet, as the next part is the intro bumper. I start the camera, start the recorder, walk over to my mark, snap my fingers 3 times for an audio mark, and deliver my opening line. I've had requests to show how to make a YouTube video. Well, here you go. That's good, so let's get the Teleprompter app scrolling and shoot the rest of the episode. I'll stop or redo parts I mess up, and when I do, I just laugh it off. I use this stuff for bloopers and outtakes at the end of the video. You should notice I do the entire script all the way through if possible. I don't shoot a scene, go shoot B-roll, go do something else, and so on. This wastes so much time for me, and no matter what, I'll always have clean, clear audio for the entire video, especially important when I do product reviews. If you want to shoot elsewhere with audio, fine, but I usually use what I've done here. Done shooting the main script, so I stop the camera and the audio recorder and turn off the devices, the lights, and everything else. I'm going to leave those SD cards in there for right now as I don't want to lose them and I know exactly where they are. There's plenty of shots I can do as B-roll, so I grab my script and my monitor, my Sony ZV-1, make sure it has enough battery, and format the SD card in there to ensure it's working. Then I set up and shoot those scenes I noted in the script. During this whole process, you should make sure you drink plenty of water. You may be under bright lights, talking a lot, and expending a lot of energy. You don't want to end up editing your video to find out you're looking a bit dull. Get some lunch if it's time for that. Also, crap is going to happen. Just chill, laugh, go yell at yourself in the mirror, whatever, and do something that makes you laugh. Getting upset about this stuff will more than likely show in your video, so enjoy life, the best comedy TV show ever invented. After the B-roll is shot, I go back to the studio, pull the card out of the ZV-1, pull the cards out of the camera and audio recorder, and bring all 3 into my editing computer. I make a new folder incremented by the number of the last video I did. I grab the last Premiere Pro project file and the Photoshop thumbnail file, copy and paste them into the new folder. This Premiere Pro project file is everything already set up for my 4K timeline. I can reuse all the assets and things that I use in my videos. I go up 1 level, grab the folder name, and rename this project and the Photoshop file the same so I know where they belong. I create a footage folder and copy all my audio and video files from the main camera and audio SD cards into this folder. I make a B-roll folder and copy all the B-roll shots from the ZV-1 into that folder. Sometimes I include screenshots or graphic elements from the web, so I also create a graphics folder just to house those just in case. Now I immediately walk all these cards back to the studio and reinsert them so I'll be ready for my next video. Plus, I always know where they are located so I don't have to search around, which wastes a ton of time. Okay, this is not part of the script, but here's a little tip. Sometimes you forget and you have these lights on and you happen to be turning the overhead lights on. It's going to add a lot more light. I put in some 5500K bulbs in here, so in case I did that, it wasn't terrible. It should look like this. That's proper. It's not going to be bad. I might be able to color correct it. I will probably just leave it alone because most people aren't going to notice. Let's continue. Back to the computer. I open Adobe Audition and drag in all the audio files into the program. My studio mic and recorder are set up perfectly, so I always have the same audio edits every time. I double-click the first file to select it. In the effect racks, I add the built-in multi-band compressor effect, choose the broadcast preset, set the max level to -3 dB, and apply it. I double-click the next audio file and I use the shortcut key Ctrl-R to repeat the effect and press enter. I do this for each audio file until done. Next, I drag all the audio files to the Match Loudness tab, which uses these settings shown, basically -16 LUFS for YouTube, and click Run. If you don't see that tab, pull down the Windows menu and choose Match Loudness. You don't want to blow people's ears out, or worse, have them up the volume when the video gets to the main parts. Then they have to dive for the volume knob. Not a pleasant experience for a viewer. I check each audio file briefly to see there's nothing odd like some weird spike or something, and since all looks good, I choose Save All and I quit Audition. Open the project file. You'll notice I have a footage folder, and inside of that a B-roll folder that I use for every project, as well as that graphics folder. Delete all the prior footage, B-roll, graphics files, and this will clear up your timeline significantly. I also delete any titles or bric-a-brac I don't need on a timeline and keep one in case I want to reuse them in a current video. The intro bumper and subscribe and link titles and the end outro I keep. All the music gets deleted as I like to include and edit music to fit the video, which you'll see later. This guy up here is an adjustment layer we will cover briefly later, but for now, make sure it is locked down so the edits we make don't result in an adjustment layer being cut up into tiny parts. Let's move up one folder and copy the folder name of our video project and paste that as the project name for the current video. This keeps everything in sync and the rendered file will have the same name. Grab all the video and audio files in the footage folder and drop them in the project's footage folder. Do the same for all your B-roll, and if you have any graphics already prepared, load those into the graphics folder in the project. This can seem time-consuming, but once you drill it, it's really fast. You'll also appreciate everything always being the same from project to project and video to video. As a side note, I usually don't have very many video and audio files, but if you do, it's a good idea to name them so you don't get lost in editing. I grab all the video files and move them to the end of the timeline so I don't kill off all those assets I want to reuse. Now I move the audio files under the video files. Time to sync up the audio using Premiere's sync function, starting at the last one on the timeline. I select the last shot and the audio by dragging them, and I'm going to sync them up. You can find that function by right-clicking, but I have that function set to Alt-Control-Shift-S shortcut keys to save time. I press Alt-Control-Shift-S and press Return. I continue that way until everything's synced and make sure I do a quick audio check on each to make sure nothing went wrong. The video and the crappy audio from the camera are linked up, and I don't want that. I hold down the Alt key to select only the crappy camera audio pieces, and I delete those. Now I hold down the Alt and select the good audio, then using the Alt up arrow, move them back up under the associated video files. I want to make sure the video is linked with the good audio, so I select each video and audio segment and press Ctrl L to link them up. That way when I make edits or move them, the audio doesn't go back out of sync. Notice the video is small. That's because I can only shoot in 1080 on a 5D Mark III until my Sony a7S III arrives, but it looks fine when I upscale it, and I'll show you a few tweaks later to make it look stellar. I select all the footage, right-click, choose Set to Frame Size, and everything is now proper for my 4K timeline. I locate the first part for the intro before the bumper a few frames before I start talking. I usually pay more attention to the audio than the video here, as you don't want to chop out a small bit of the audio, as it will sound jarring. I use the X shortcut key, which is normally set to Ctrl K for cut, but this saves me time. Since it leaves the prior part selected, I don't need it, I just press delete. I find the end of the intro, press X to cut there. Notice as I move down the timeline, I would normally have to select the next clip to perform the next cut and trim. Go to the sequence menu and tick on the selection follows playhead option and make sure V1 and A1 tracks are on. Watch what happens as I move my playhead. Whenever it's on those tracks, they will be selected, and this will save you a ton of time. Since I set the Q key as the shortcut to ripple trim, I scrub to the start of the episode and I cue the prior stuff out. I find the end of that and press X again. I continue moving down the timeline, pressing X and Q to cut the video into the good parts. It's very quick editing, although I find anything that may be an outtake or something I can use at the end of the video, I'll keep it and dump it at the end of all this footage for later. Pretty much done with the rough cuts, so let's move them into their proper place. I grab the beginning and place it at the front. I place it so it starts about 10 to 15 frames after the beginning so it doesn't give the viewer a jerky experience and gives YouTube just enough time to load up some of the video. I move the bumper next to that. Now I go grab all the main parts of the video all the way to the end, not the outtakes, cut it, and paste them into the timeline. Instead of a Ctrl-V for paste, I use Shift-Ctrl-V as it pastes all that into the timeline and shifts everything else down the timeline. That way we don't overwrite the end bits, such as the end titles and the outro sequence. Now I move the end title for links, subscribe, comments, and that beep part to the end portion of the video. I'll throw any potential outtakes or silly skits I've done after that, then move the outro credits and acknowledgements after that. Time for some tweaking and adjustments. I go through and make what I think could be the second to final edit. I don't worry about the jump cuts or any of that. I just want the video to move along with no dead space. I edit away until I'm satisfied I have something that will work for me. Note that when I make cuts here and there, I make the cuts, then I use Shift-Delete to delete the little cut which closes up the gap and moves all the remaining video elements into place. If you don't do this, you'll have a nightmare on your hands moving down the timeline and having to adjust each one by hand. Now I'm going to get particular about things. I place any B-roll shots over my talking parts, which will cover up many of the edited jump cuts I made earlier. After that, I may add some full screen titles or possibly add some B-roll I download from another service if appropriate. For this video, I'll use these sliding titles included with Premiere Pro for each of the steps, which will really cover up the cut shots. I place one there, edit it with the proper text, and adjust its length so it works properly. For the next one, I drag while holding down the Alt key, and that makes a copy of the asset. The Alt drag thing is really handy when you add a perfectly made title with all the fonts and outlines and everything, and that way you can directly make a copy and not have to recreate another one from scratch. I use these in keyframe a 5-frame slide in my titles, then when they're meant to disappear, I keyframe a 5-frame slide out. When I need another one, I Alt drag to create a new one with the keyframes all intact, place at the beginning of where I need it, extend it, set the keyframe out, then close it to the proper length. That's the cool part of reusing your last project, as mentioned, is all the assets are there ready for you to use. It may seem like a lot of work, and it is, but I'm trying to keep the viewer visually interested so they continue through the majority of the video, which YouTube really likes. Like anything, once you develop the rhythm of doing this, you can do these very fast. On any shots that jump, if they're not too startling, I'll just leave them. If they are or want to make a point, I'll zoom that portion of the video up by 10 to 20% to give it that fake second camera effect. I keep messing around, tweaking, cutting, and even removing portions of the video that I don't think add to the subject matter. Not always, but there's been times when I started out with 40 minutes of video on a timeline and ended up with 8. That's okay. The whole idea is making a video that people are likely to watch, not listen to you go blah, 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 blah about something that isn't relevant to the video. At this point, I'm satisfied with the video, so I set the in point at the beginning of the video and the end point at the end. That way, when I go to render the video, all of it renders and doesn't get cut out, or worse, you forget that you have like 10 minutes of black nothing at the end of the video. Finally, unlock this adjustment layer. That layer, always at the top, includes any tweaks to the whole video. As mentioned, I keep that layer locked as all of our editing would have cut this thing into little tiny pieces. For me, I simply crush the blacks a bit like this, which takes out any hazy black bits out of the video and makes it look just a bit richer. I also add a very tiny touch of sharpening to account for the upscaled video. I don't really need to do anything, as I'm just using the same settings from the last video since I shot in the same studio under the same lighting conditions. Then I make sure the adjustment layer starts at the beginning and spans all the way to the end. I'm not going to cover adjustment layers in full here, but suffice it to say, you can use one or many and even correct some awful looking shots where you accidentally didn't set your white balance correctly. I don't always add music to my videos, especially ones where the viewer needs to hear what's going on, like a microphone review, but I love music, and if done right, it can add a whole nother dimension to your videos. I won't go through the entire process, but let's add just a bit over the intro bumper in the beginning of the video and then the outro of the video so you can see what I do. I could do an entire course on selecting music and how to add it for video, but not here. I've selected a few music clips for my most trusted sites, Premium Beat, Artlist, and Filmstro, which is another video for another time. For the intro bumper, I've selected this piece. I grab the beginning of the music and I drop a piece in under the intro bumper, then grab a piece of the end of it and drop it a bit further down. I just keep messing around with this music until I find where I want it to end and lead into the next part like this. Now I take the front part and place it over the intro bumper. At some point, these two pieces will have to be married up, so I simply drag one piece into the other about there and add a 12 to 25 frame constant power effect, which essentially is a cross dissolve for audio. I hover over the cut and I use the control key to use the rolling edit tool, which essentially keeps the audio cross dissolve and lets me play with where the cut will be. I just keep messing around with the point between the two until it sounds somewhat legit, possibly extending or contracting the amount of cross dissolve. If I can't get it to work, I'll use another bit of music, but it almost always works for me. Once I have that to my liking, I'll reduce the intro audio volume to -6 dB as I found it is not too soft nor not too loud. For the part where I'm talking, I can get very sophisticated using tools such as auto ducking and all that, but I usually just play with the volume until the music is enough in the background not to interfere with my voice. I found depending on the music, it's usually between -28 to -30 dB. When you've done this a few times, it's really easy. Lastly, I picked out this strange music for the end of the video and edited it to be like this. Oh, before I forget, please make sure you drop the audio levels on things like beeps and dings and all that. Here's what my beep sounds like normal. It's very piercing to the ears. I usually drop it way down to like -16 dB or even more than that. Okay, I have a video I think is ready for prime time, and I won't kill you off by showing you this, but before I render this thing, I will watch it at least 2 or 3 times before rendering it, correct any spelling mistakes, maybe tightening it up a bit until I'm satisfied. YouTube allows chapter markers, which mean you can include those in your video description. These allow the viewers to click on those timestamps and go directly to that position in the video, and recently, they actually add those chapter markers and show them below the video in the play bar. I made an entire video on automating chapter markers, and you can watch that if you're interested. For now, I'll just add my markers to the video editor, and when I'm done, export them to the desktop for later. As a last step, I check again that my in and out points are correct for my render in case I move some things around. You may agree or disagree with these render settings, and I don't care. I've used these forever, and as long as they work, I'll keep using them. I've created a few template settings, and for this one, it's shot in 30 frames per second and is 4K. So I'll grab this one, it's all ready to go. 4K, 29.97 as it was shot, render at maximum depth, CBR controlled bitrate, 40 megabits per second maximum render quality. I don't care how long it takes. I have a crazy awesome Alienware laptop, and my video renders take anywhere from the same length of the video to sometimes as much as half. If I am rendering 1080, it's all the same setting except for the 1080 size and a controlled bitrate of 16. I set the destination of the rendered video to the same folder I've been working in all along. Some suggest you render to a different drive or folder as it's faster, but as I mentioned, I don't care, and I'm off working on other things. My computer is very fast. When I'm ready, I hit the Q button, which launches Media Encoder, loads it up, and when it's ready to go, I hit the play button, which says render it. I like Media Encoders. I can continue to work on other things while it's rendering away, such as handling emails, comments, other videos, social media, or maybe getting lunch or dinner, depending on the time of day. Yep, again, there's nothing more disheartening than to upload and set your video all up on YouTube to find out all the work was for naught as something went wrong in the render. I watch it and I make sure there's nothing glaring, and this saves me a lot of time. Although I'll intentionally leave some mistakes in the video as my viewers love to find them, almost like Easter eggs. If something is glaringly wrong, I'll fix it in the editor and re-render the file. I go to my YouTube channel, and since I've bookmarked the YouTube upload link, I choose it, drag the file to the upload thing, and let it go. I don't worry about the title or description at this point, and just click through all the things YouTube needs and always upload it unlisted. I set my upload defaults in YouTube to automatically make any upload video unlisted, and it fills in everything else, including the title and long description, and some keywords I always use in my videos, which saves me a ton of time. A lot of people create their video thumbnail before they upload their video. Some even do the thumbnail before the video is even made. That's awesome, and I applaud them, and I suggest you do the same. But I don't do that, just for no other reason than it just suits me better. After having watched this video many times, I usually have a good idea at this point what the thumbnail will be. Although this isn't a video on making a great thumbnail, it's really an art. I use Photoshop and either take a bunch of photos of the product if it's a product review, or if the video warrants it, I grab a thumbnail right out of the video. I'm not worried about resolution too much since the video's at 4K, and I save the thumbnail as 1920 by 1080. But no matter how or what you make, it should be clear, sharp, contrasting for the eyes, and not filled with a lot of text. Some of mine are great, some not so much, and I'm still working on it. When I'm done editing the thumbnail, I save the file and export the thumbnail in the same place as the Photoshop file, and since the upload and processing is usually done by then, I go to the video just uploaded, scroll down to the thumbnail area, and upload my new thumbnail to the video and save it. I usually take a quick crack at some title for the video, then I go through the description and add any links or other information someone might want to know, including the pound hashtags that YouTube picks up and displays on the top of my videos. There's many tips for coming up with a good title and keywords. I use the TubeBuddy Keyword Explorer tool to get something that looks like it will work, then finalize the video by running it through the TubeBuddy SEO Studio tool until I get the results I want and the best chance at having the video seen and promoted by YouTube. Next, I add as many keywords as I can that relate directly to the video, and many times I'll use TubeBuddy, vidIQ, that's another YouTube tool, or just Google my title and see what good keywords come up for that. Let's not forget about those chapter markers I referred to before. I open that exported marker file, munge the data into what is needed, copy the times and the names, and paste it into the chapter area in the video description. If you want to see how to do that, I've got another video that shows this. I have that end acknowledgement area, and that's where I add those end screens. I just choose one from a previous video. They're basically the same, and make sure I use my everything playlist, what YouTube thinks the viewer will want to watch next, and by the way, it only suggests my videos, a link to Basic Filmmaker University, and my subscribe element. I rarely use cards in my videos, and although many do, I think having someone dump the video they're currently watching to go to another video of yours, which has cards in it, well, you get the idea. At this point, I'm pretty much done with the video, and remember, you can always change the video's title, description, keywords, and even the thumbnail if the video is not working for you. I allow mid-roll ads on my longer videos, and YouTube recently adds them automatically on videos over 8 minutes. Sure, I could just turn them off, but frankly, YouTube is my full-time job, and if anyone expects me to do this full-time and not make any money at it, well, excuse me. Let me know if you're willing to work at your job full-time for free if you think that way. Otherwise, appreciate how much work I do that you get for free, and your big payment is you have an ad that pops up you can skip after 5 seconds. However, I find 3 to 4 ads placed within a 15 to 20 minute video detestable. I don't like it, and I imagine neither do my viewers. I usually go to the video editor in YouTube, see how many ad slots they put in there, remove them all except one if it's a long video, make sure it's placed at a reasonable point in the video, save it, and away I go. Also, I don't use YouTube Premium. I want to see what my viewers see when they watch my videos. I always like my own video. Why? Well, why not? If you don't like your own video, then why the heck did you even make it? I've also run some tests, and having no likes on the video, it can sit there for hundreds of views with no one liking the video. When viewers see that someone else liked it, they see the little blue thumbs up, and they like the video. I don't understand. Also, I always add a comment to the video and pin it to the top. This is what your viewers are going to see when they come to the video. I may post additional info there, but at a minimum, I always post my appreciation for their support. They did not have to come to my video or channel, and I do appreciate it. I told you this was going to be a long video. Holy crap. All good, so now, you guessed it, I watched the video at least a couple more times. YouTube does glitch sometimes, and if you didn't catch it, it can be embarrassing to you as a creator. Trust me, I've caught quite a few things by doing this that weren't my fault. So I watch it on my computer, my iPad, and on my TV. That's at least 3 times, and make sure everything is working as planned. And yes, those first couple of views count, and yes, same as the like, people are more willing to watch a video that has already been watched by someone else and aren't jazzed coming to a video with no likes, no views, and no comments. And come on, if your own video is so boring to you after watching it a few times, what do you think the viewer's going to think? I enjoy these last post watches a lot, as I can tick off in my head how I did good or note something down I didn't for the next video. I'm learning from myself. I try, and don't always succeed, to post my videos the next morning Pacific Standard Time between 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. as that seems when most people are on YouTube. Not sure I've seen a difference, but it makes sense to me, and according to YouTube, that's when most of my audience is on YouTube. I have still yet to achieve making enough videos where I can have 3 or 4 weeks worth in the can and use the YouTube scheduling system, but I'm working on it. I set the video to public, add it to my playlist, especially the everything playlist that shows up on the end of my video in the end screens. I save it and I let it fly. Next, I use the share button to share it on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Tumblr pages. I don't care about many of those, but it's too easy to share them, and I've been doing that for years. I do wish they would add an Instagram button too. Inevitably, my most loyal fans will watch the video immediately, so I like to be around the first few hours to respond to their comments and questions, which they appreciate greatly, while I am handling other activities such as social media and emails as well as planning. As of this date, August 2020, I've made it to 117,000 and counting subscribers, and I'm not sure if I made it this far by quality content or the fact that I continue to answer every single comment ever left on a video, and that's 30,000 and counting. I imagine it's both. It should be obvious the next step to take would be to begin the process again for the next video. I manage Basic Filmmaker University. I create entire courses over there, the Basic Filmmaker University Facebook page, a podcast, another YouTube channel, Basic Filmmaker Unscripted, among other things. If I didn't have my hands full, I could use this process to kick out at least 3 videos a week so I know it works. This process of 40 steps just went through is not hard, But it is hard to explain it in words and video format, which makes it seem unreal for most people. It's not. I've been able to run this entire process in as little as 4 hours from start to finish, more usual a single day and posting the next video the next day, and sometimes longer. It all depends on the complexity and length of the video. A reminder that I have free and paid courses over at Basic Filmmaker University. No spam, no ads, just good learning. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Air conditioning! Should have shaved. Oops. Crap! Woohoo! Wow. I'm on step 19. There's like 37 of these. Golly, my jaw hurts from talking. Holy smoke. That's not freaking right. B-roll I download from another service. A service added from another service. There's jokes there, and I ain't touching them with a 10-foot boom pole. Possibly add some B-roll I download. Let's try this again. Okay. This time it's gonna be perfect, and if it isn't, I'm gonna punch myself in the face. It may seem like a lot of work, and it is, but I'm trying to keep the... Here's something cool. Make sure you hit the damn button on the camera or you'll get a bunch of audio. Who quality assured this script? Let's punch him in the face. It's important when you mess up to go... You gotta watch in these long videos because, you know, they're long. Wow. My mouth is getting tired. I hate you. You didn't practice your lines. You're fired. This helps when you mess up, when you go... Yeah!